What a great week you've had, man. Fuck.
It's crazy, man.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
I finally heard the podcast. I was a little late because I guess because we do a radio show as well. Not as big as your podcast, sir.
No, definitely not.
And I was blown away by the whole experience of the thing. Not only the conversations, just the behind-the-scenes stuff. I want you to take us back to when you found out, first of all, that Barack was coming on WTF.
It was crazy. It was like a year ago, I guess. Were you going to say? Oh.
You knew this a year ago.
Well, no, I didn't know anything. It was one of those things, you do this. Someone reaches out from the White House, a staffer, and said, we're thinking we're going to do something with the show.
Opie knows about this, you said?
Which is
the White House will never call here.
But like booking things,
Okay.
It casually says the White House called.
They reached out a year ago?
They reached out to us.
Okay.
And they reached out to my producer, Brendan McDonald. They're like, we're thinking about doing something. We like the show. We don't know what yet. So Brendan tells me, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what that means, but that sounds great. I'm glad we're on their radar. Someone in this staff likes the show, whatever. And then we started keeping in touch with them every month or so. What's going on? Is there something going on? And then as it started to unfold, they were like, we're thinking maybe we'll have the president on the show. And I was like, holy shit, that seems crazy.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Right.
And then a few months ago, when they were like, it's going to happen. And I'm like, all right, so what do? I go to the White House to do this, or do I go to a hotel? And they told Brendan, they're like, no, he wants to come to the garage. I'm like, that's fucking ridiculous. How is that going to happen? I mean, I live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. That's it. Like, my bathroom door doesn't even fucking work. And I'm like, I'm going to have the president over, and he's going to be like, can someone watch the door? Yeah, so
He didn't use your bathroom, did he?
No. I didn't know that they traveled with a bathroom.
They travel with a
bathroom.
bathroom.
They travel with everything.
Would they travel with a bathroom?
It's a 25-car thing. It's crazy.
But where's the bathroom?
I didn't ask.
But you know they travel with a bathroom.
Yeah, they've got it's like the Air Force One of porta potties. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Of course they do.
Of course
He can shit anywhere.
A pipe bomb could be in your toilet, Mark.
Well, how about a pipe bomb? How about just my toilet?
You know what I heard? This might be true. Now, I mean, I heard the presidents, and again, this may sound crazy, but they don't like if they like shit or piss in public toilets because if somebody gets that sample, you can find out things about their that they might be allergic. Like, you can tell a lot about them.
You telling me they take
or areas of vulnerability. Like
like genetics and that.
Are you telling me they take the presidential duties with them?
But that makes sense if he has his own bathroom.
Can't shit in public, I guess.
Where does that stuff go?
What do you mean?
The stuff
It's
that
the
I'm
library.
fascinated
They
by.
keep that at the library, the presidential library.
It's in the archives. It's a whole archive.
He
of
has
poop.
his own bathroom. I didn't realize it.
Well, I didn't realize it either, but I found out later. So what happens is then they got a date set, and I talk about that a little bit.
Do you think I got to interrupt for a second? Do you think the president listens to WTF or
I think
somebody close to him?
No, I think someone close to him is a fan of the show, and then they said, "Do you want to do this?" And of course, he listened to a couple.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking he's like, I got. Hold on, I'm listening to Maron. I don't think it's that
absolutely
situation.
listened to a couple.
Oh yeah,
definitely. You
definitely.
can tell by the podcast you did with him.
Well, I think the ones that they had. I think they had the Mel Brooks one was used as an example, and I think that he listened to a couple. But so now I got this thing. I had planned a vacation, so I'm being like selfish. They gave us 2 sets of dates,
right?
And I used my points for Hawaii. And now all of a sudden we got these 2 dates, and both of them are like in the vacation. I'm like, well, what am I going to lose my points?
Like, not think that.
I did. I'm an
what
idiot.
A Jew.
I'm an idiot.
What a Jewish bastard.
It's true. And my producer who was Brendan, who was he was just placating me, but he knew all along that you're going to interview the president. Right. He goes, we'll pay for the fucking vacation. What are you thinking? And I'm like, are you sure? But I don't want to lose my points. He couldn't believe it. But I think in my
old
mind,
Jewish woman.
I think I know what it is. Good.
In my mind, though, I think I was just panicking, and that was my way of kind of managing I was worried about all kinds of shit. I worry some people have Jesus, I have panic.
Right.
So
were you thinking that it was like if you cancel your vacation, all of a sudden this interview's not really going to happen? They're going to back out for some reason?
That's right, exactly. It's like then I'm going to lose everything, and then who knows? It's the president. We didn't know. You don't know until the day of. And if the president cancels, what are you going to be like? That's it. I'm not having him on the show now.
Yeah.
But that's one thing we like about Marc Maron. You don't change for people.
I don't think
You
I
are
did.
who you are. No, because Jimmy pointed out when we saw the pictures with you and
Yeah.
Obama, like, oh, you know, it's a shirt you would just wear. You weren't like overdoing
What
it.
if I gotta wear a tie in my bar mitzvah outfit in the garage?
But there are other
That would have been
people.
classic.
There are other people that
ruffled
probably
fucking-
would have, you know, really pumped it up.
Your
But
producer dressed up.
Oh, definitely.
yeah, he dressed up, but we're like, okay, Mark is still Mark. Like he's being himself here, even though it's the president in his garage.
Well, the weird thing was, is like, all right, so as it goes on, so, you know, they scheduled it, but, like, I couldn't believe it. You know, they're like, all right, we got the weekend, he's coming, and I didn't think it was really going to happen. It just seemed too amazing and too
Sure.
ridiculous.
Right.
And so I go on the vacation, and I read his first book. I read Letters from My Father, which I'd never read before, and it's a fucking amazing book. I mean, this is before he wanted to be president. Just this memoir about, you know, him finding his identity, his father, and like it's really well written. It seemed like he wanted to be a writer. So, but that's
How far before the interview is this? Now?
well, it's the week before, days. So, you know, I'm out of the loop policy-wise. I'm not the guy who's going to talk politics anymore. I haven't been paying attention. So I'm a little nervous about that. But I don't really want to have that kind of interview. But I do want to know where he comes from because that's sort of what I do, you know. And then I get home Wednesday. Brendan flew out from Brooklyn to my house on the Sunday to deal with the Secret Service. So I'm in Hawaii reading the book. Brendan's at my house meeting with Secret Service. They're going over things. And apparently, he tells a story, I think, on the podcast today. You know, the Secret Service comes, they're trying to figure out where they're going to put the sniper. So Brendan's in the garage, right? And they got a guy on the roof trying to see if that's a good place. And he's stomping around up there. Like this. Yeah, Brendan can hear it. And he's like, this. He hears the sniper guy go, this is perfect. We can stay up here. And Brendan's like, I don't think so. Because you can hear the fucking, you know.
It's gonna come through the roof.
Well, apparently that's what he did. He jumped up and down. And Brendan said the ceiling buckled. And he's like, no, that's not going to work, man.
Wow.
So they had to figure out a different place for that.
Wow.
And then I get home on Wednesday, and I got to meet the Secret Service guys on Thursday.
By the way, how are you relaxing on vacation?
I was gonna
when
say,
the
there's no
Secret
way you're
Service is
relaxing
in your house.
in-
How are you
in
catching
Hawaii.
some sun and?
Well, I did
There's
all
no way
right.
you're
I
relaxing.
trust Brendan, and you know he was on top. It's better he's on top than me. He said it would have been worse if I was there because I
Okay.
would have been panicking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
sort of like, wait, are you guys going to step on the thing? Are you going to like?
Yeah.
Because that's I'm fucking nuts like that. Like, don't watch that plant.
Yeah.
You know, so
Are you worried they're going through your whole house? They might
No, what
find
are-
something
no, what are they
weird.
gonna
Porn.
find? I got-
Where'd you put the porn?
Yeah,
who holds porn anymore? It's on the computer.
it's right on your
But
phone.
did you delete everything, or did you?
No, I didn't do anything. What do
Did it
what
tell-
do you, that's not good. All that, from what I understand, you know, this is the weird thing about the you know, I'm sure if they want to find everything out about you, they can. And I'm sure they did to some degree. But I think what they're looking for is a police record. That's
Right.
all. I mean, what did they really look at? What do they think they're going to find on me? Apparently, they only screened me and Brendan thoroughly. They vetted us. They got our social security numbers, and they vetted me and Brendan because he was the only guy there. And I imagine they looked around the neighborhood to make sure there were, you know, no known, you know, armed, whatever. I don't know. But they didn't go through a big thing that I know of. But I got nothing to hide. And I was more worried about the cats. You know, the cat's going to get out. This is bullshit stuff, you know. So I get home.
So now you have to deal with the Secret Service.
You worried about the fucking cats getting out when the president's coming?
I do, Sharon. These are practical
You really do have a
concerns.
syndrome.
Yeah.
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 I have a little bit of a problem. I'm thrilled he's coming, but I don't, you know, I still got, what do you got a problem with cats?
No, I just.
Oh, yeah.
But why would that be on your mind? You're in Hawaii. and
Because
you-
it's a way to not think of the magnitude of what's
That's
about to happen.
exactly right.
Yeah, this is a big-
That's
this is a
exactly
biggie.
right. Yeah, I mean, so I get home Wednesday, and it's at a certain point, we knew that once it was in motion, they started tenting my driveway. So I get back
Right.
Oh, this is not day of. They tented it a few days before.
2 days before. Like I get home and they tented part of it. And I get home on Wednesday night. Brendan picks me up. We go to my house. We get there like 11:30, and we're starting to go over stuff. And then the news about Charleston breaks, and we realize after a certain point that the only thing that would cancel the interview once it's in motion is a national or international crisis. So this happens, and I'm like, well, this is horrible, and he's not coming, but it's understandable. We'd already done some promotion, but I was like, we knew this could happen, so that's that.
Yeah.
And we didn't hear from the White House at all, and we decided not to promote the thing anymore. And then the next day, we're just laying low, and the White House said, we're putting together a statement. We don't know what's happening. And then he goes on TV, and he looks pissed. Like, he looks more pissed than I've ever seen him. Like, and he's hard to read, but he was pissed. And it was a powerful news conference. But then we got word that, like, he's up in the air, so he's making the trip. He's made that decision. But we still don't really know. but they're continuing to tent the driveway. So either way, I'm going to have a tented driveway for at least a couple of days.
Maybe you can take advantage of that and throw some kind of weird tenting
If
party.
Obama doesn't show up, you have a few friends come over.
It can be an
Pray that it rains.
It can be an Airbnb.
So, but then it turns out he's gonna do it, and then we're sort of like Brendan and I are producing the show because I don't usually do much production, and I didn't know, and I loaded myself up with his past, and I needed to get up to speed on a little bit of policy because I'm really fucking out of the loop, man. You know, and then I got, lefties coming at me on Twitter, like, you're going to ask him about the trade agreement? I'm like, I don't even know fucking, like, I don't think so. And then righties are like, no, you're a shill, you're going to blow him. And I'm like, what's happening?
They can't let you enjoy the moment.
But see, like, I was able to shut it out. I was able to shut it out only because, see, the weird thing is that whatever my past in politics might have been, I've gone out of my way to really, I've not interviewed a politician on WTF ever, and I won't. It's policy because I did that for a couple of years. I know what those guys are, and how they talk, and even though the thing in my mind was that, look, I don't care how cynical you are, what fucking side you're on. When the president requests an audience with you, the president has requested, the president of the United States wants to come to your house and talk to you. What? Of course. I'm honored. I'm privileged. This is insane.
Yes.
It's the president. Yeah, I'm a fucking American. I'm going to talk to the president. I would talk to any sitting president. Are you out of your mind?
Right.
So, but I like this guy, and I'm not sure it would have been a great interview with the last guy, but this guy I like.
You probably would have had a good time.
I'm sure.
Some weird way.
Yeah.
So they're tenting it off. You're
all right. So
expecting
right.
it to be
Here's what
tented.
happened. So I get to the house on Wednesday, and they'd set up these 2 boxes in my spare bedroom. These are like weird machines. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? They're isolated phone lines. Those are like the first thing they put in are these phone lines that, like, in case the world ends, they can still get hold of the president. Like, they're these 2 things that AT&T has to set up. Like, they're big things. Like
really?
Yeah, it was crazy. That to me, when I saw these 2 alien machines in my house, I'm like, this is fucking serious,
Right.
So Brendan they go through the whole thing with me on what's going to happen. I meet the Secret Service guys the next day, the 2 guys, and they tell me sort of like how it's going to go, that he's not going to come into the house, that they tent the driveway completely, and then they're going to tent the part of the street where the car is going to land under, so there are no sight lines. They partially tent. See, my driveway goes up, there's a gate, and then there's another like 40 feet to the garage. They partially tent that, but they can leave that top open because the snipers are up here, so there just can't be any sight lines. They no parking in the neighborhood. No one's going anywhere in the neighborhood.
Your neighbors must have loved you for that.
Well, I felt bad at first, but I was like, I appreciate you guys, going through this. They're like, are you fucking kidding? This is the most exciting thing that's ever happened. My neighbor Dennis, who's retired, he's like, the snipers gave me a patch. They got these patches, these Secret Service sniper patches, and they gave him one. He's like, I got a fucking patch. They were on my roof. Oh, hell yeah.
People who didn't know probably saw that tent and thought you had some kind of a fucking awful disease. They're like, he's contagious. Great.
Outbreak monkey.
They're going to pull ET out of there. That
They set up a hot
not my
zone
joke.
grenade.
It was out there.
Hey, what about? You said the neighbors were holding up signs. Was that
A few
true?
people, yeah. Well, here's how it progressed. What happened was, so the day of, the Secret Service guys on Thursday, asked me. But what I was trying to tell you, though, is that, we were supposed to have a relatively lighthearted conversation. I think that, he wanted to just shoot the shit. That was the original idea. But once the Charleston reality was a reality, what happened, Brendan and I were like, we're doing this on Friday. It's going to drop on Monday. We have to address that. And we have to address a Supreme Court ruling that might drop on Monday because it'll contextualize the interview that, like, I should ask him, what he's planning on doing around the shooting and what he thinks of that, the Supreme Court ruling possibility. So that had to happen. So that was, and then I was sort of like, oh, well, what if we get into a place and I can't, it's not casual, and I'm going a little crazy, but I'm not freaking out as much as I freaked out. Say, I wasn't freaking out that bad because when you talk to a guy who has a public narrative around every element of his life, there's very few things he hasn't talked about publicly, and he has a way of framing it. I mean, the trick really is to get around that for a minute, even for a few minutes, even if you can get. But what ultimately happened was completely mind-blowing. So back to the pace of the story. So the Secret Service guy, he says to me, can we brief in your living room? dude, my house isn't even 1,000 square feet. So Friday morning, 7 o'clock, I got 20 Secret Service guys in there, and they're being briefed. And they're like, "Can we put our bags in here?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And now, like, they got to bring the bomb-sniffing dog in, and I had a problem because I was like, "Well, what am I going to do with the fucking cats? You know, like, do I got to put them in a box? Because they're very difficult cats." And the Secret Service is like, "Look, we'll do the bedroom by hand. You lock them in the bedroom." And I'm like, "All right, well, okay." So they bring the dog over, and I'm like, "Tell me when the dog's out so I could, let you into the room." So my poor cats are under the bed, and they got Secret Service going. Like, those just let me. Those cats explosive? No. Well, yeah, the little one is, but the anyways, not necessary to be joking about this. Serious story. So they do their thing, and then the LAPD's there too. So a sergeant from the LAPD, because there's 2 snipers on my neighbor's roof. LAPD's on the back deck. There's about a dozen, maybe 10 LAPD cats, because I live on a hill, so they're doing the perimeter. So I got Secret Service in the house. There's a bunch of Secret Service guys out front. There's nothing moving in the neighborhood, and they tell me he's gonna drive the motorcade from the Beverly Hilton to the Santa Monica Airport. He's gonna get on a chopper and fly to the Rose Bowl parking lot, land, and then pick up the motorcade there and drive to my house. And Rose Bowl's like 7 minutes from my house, so we know all this is happening. So I'm supposed to meet him in front of the garage. And he's gonna walk up.
Holy shit!
Tunnel.
It's intense.
Oh my God! I'm
It's
feeling
crazy.
where you are that day.
Yeah, and I'm just in my bed. It's just me and Brendan, so no one was around. It was not a public event. So
What
it's
time
really
is this happening in the morning?
it's like 9:50 in the morning. But
Okay.
I'm up at 6. The guys, the Secret Service comes at 7, and I'm sort of making sure everybody's okay. We set up some tables out on the back deck because they're gonna archive it themselves through so they got a mic running in. They got cords running into my board. And then there's a staffer, and Brendan's on earphones. There was about 5 sets of cans that we ran out of the garage out to the deck on the table because I didn't want anyone in there but me and the president and whatever security was necessary. So I'm keeping it together because I'll tell you the one thing that I think that outside of having a great experience doing Maron on IFC and the television show is that I know how to find space in a crowd. Like, I know how to, when you're on a movie, there's a million people there, something like that, or on a TV show, and you still got to act. So there was something about that experience, even with all the Secret Service and shit, I sort of was able to stay in a zone and try to, all I wanted to do was have a human experience with this dude and not do a fucking fluff interview. Like, my biggest fear was, what am I going to sit there and do, softballs the whole time and say, what about music? What is Michelle? I couldn't live with myself if that happened.
Right.
But I also wasn't the guy to get too deep into policy, and I don't think we wanted that interview. All right, so anyways, so now they're saying, all right, he's flying in, fine. And then they tell me, we'll give you a heads up 5 minutes before. So Brendan and I are trying to get everything set. I want to hit record on both the backup and the garage band because before he comes in but we were like, well, they're going to record it too. It's all right, so we got 2 backups. That was our big worry. It's what if everything just shits the bed? That's the day that happens. So now we're he's 20 minutes out. I got a Secret Service guy. I'm like, where is he? So he's on the chopper. They just got on the chopper. They know everything that's happening.
Are you pissing manically before this? Are you I got to get one more piss in before?
Yeah, I did it. I did that. I did a little peeing, and then I played some guitar to try to relax myself, and I just kind of minded my own fucking business among all this chaos.
Right.
It wasn't really chaos. The Secret Service. Oh, the other thing is when the sniper showed up, it was like a movie. The Secret Service, everybody was in place, and then you just see these 2 dudes walk up the driveway with hats and glasses, with the gun bags on their back, and I'm like,
cool shit.
Right,
nice.
Those are the dudes.
Oh.
And one of them comes into my house. He's like, "Can I use the bathroom?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think you can do whatever you want, really." And he goes into the bathroom with the gun. There's no putting the gun in the hallway. It's on his back. And they go up on the roof. But anyway, so...
Can I...
What?
How many people are around your house at this point?
There must have been 40 people.
40 people.
Because I got to be 15, 20 Secret Service. There's about a dozen LAPD. There's a few staffers. The woman who travels with the food came earlier, it seemed. He has a food person with him. I don't think it's a food taster, but she has the White House catering, in-house food. She was there early. Some advanced people, but and me and Brendan, and that was it. And I didn't wander around too much. I didn't talk to anybody. I really didn't, even leading up to it, the 2 days. I got home from vacation and locked in, and I didn't respond to emails really much. All right, so now we're out there. There's the Secret Service station. One side of the garage door is open. Secret Service guy standing out here. I'm supposed to meet the president in front, all right? And they put some weird thing in the garage. It looked like a little yoga mat, flak jacket. They put that on the floor in the garage, I guess in case they had to throw it over him. You know what I mean? I had to put tape on my own fucking windows. That was the weird thing, because they secured the entire environment, but they told Brendan, it's like, can you guys put some, they were going to put Kevlar in the 2 windows that had sight lines of the garage. And then they said, well, you can just, we're not going to do Kevlar. Just tape some garbage bags. I'm like, it's up to us. We got to, so I got to.
How are you in charge of that? What the fuck?
Right, the 2 windows. So the day before on Thursday, I'm up on the roof of the garage, like taping, garbage bags over the 2 windows that had sight lines.
Protecting the president.
I did my part.
I did
my part. You're welcome. So, all right, so here we go. So now they're like, he's 20 minutes out. And literally, because my house is, in the flight, we saw them fly over. Because the sky's quiet, too. So those ESPYs, is that what they called? The planes with the weird propellers that can go up or down. Are they called ESPYs or Esprits? Or no one knows? So there's 3 of those first. And we got a Secret Service guy. That's what.
Yeah, the Ospreys.
3 of those
Ospreys.
No, they're flying over.
Oh, wow.
So the Secret Service guy who's on the deck says, yeah, those are the Ospreys. There's always 3 of those first. And then you'll see the Marine one, the helicopter, after. So we see the Ospreys. And then I'm like, there's 2 helicopters. And I'm like, is one of them a decoy? And he's like, no, it's the staff. But that's the interesting idea, So so I see them flying over, and it's like, that's in the president. That's okay. So he's near, he's close, and then they're going to give me a 5-minute warning when I'm supposed to be in front of the garage, and then the Secret Service guy in front of the garage. I'm like, where are they at now? He's like, well, they're landed, and he's out. He's in the car, so there's 7 minutes out, and I'm like, all right, fuck. So now I'm starting
to fuck.
Right. So me and Brendan are in the garage. I'm like, we got to turn the shit on. He's like, just get outside when you were supposed to, And then it's 5 minutes. They're like, 5 minutes. And I'm like, and I'm turning things on. And he's like, just go out and wait. And I'm like, all right. And then he can't even be in there. So he goes over to the deck. So now it's just me standing at the end of my driveway. There's a gate that they put a black curtain in front of. And there's a Secret Service next to me. And I see down they open the curtain, they open the gate. And I see down the tunnel to where the carport is, one fucking LAPD Jeep goes by with the sirens on. And I'm like, holy fuck, it's happening. And then another one, boom, boom, right? And then then the big black car stops. And now all of a sudden there's a crowd of people. I'm like, what is happening? There's like 12 people, 15 people just coming up the driveway. Some Secret Service, some other people. And I'm like, where is he? Where is he? And then they all come through the gate at the same time. And I'm like, what's happening? And then I hear, Mark! And I see a wave. And there's President Obama waving at me in my driveway. And I'm just standing there going, Mr. President! He's like, how you doing? I'm like, oh, great. Wait. And then he puts his arm around me and goes, it's going to be fun. We're going to have some fun. I'm like, I hope so. I hope so. I don't know what's going to happen. He introduces me to the whole staff.
He knew their names?
Yes.
He's a better man than me.
And then we walk in. He walks into the garage first. And he's like, he goes to sit in my chair. And I'm like, whoa.
Did he really?
Well, no, but he didn't know. So he goes, where am I? And I go to the orange chair. And then it was like, I didn't even see there was a Secret Service guy, just one guy behind me. There was a guy outside the door, and then there was a guy actually standing inside, but I didn't see him at all. And Barack Obama, the President of the United States, sits across from me in my garage, and then he starts looking around. It was almost like he seemed a little chipper. Like, the one thing I learned about being there with him is that these guys have a few emotional frequencies that they can tap into fairly quickly. I think in his mind, he's like, well, we're just going to have this is going to be fun. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm about to talk about Charleston in about 3 minutes. So that's not going to be fun for either of us, But, like, he sort of, I could see him ground himself. Like, because he wondered, my biggest fear was, like, am I going to see a person? But, like, he put me at ease before I could get my shit together. Like, he was like, he walked in, he's like, you got a lot of stuff in here. And he was literally grounding himself in my garage, like getting into the present.
Into the moment.
Right. Pointing at stuff, mentioning stuff. He called me a narcissist in the first 45 seconds.
So he knew.
Well, I have pictures of myself all over that people paint and shit.
He probably was so used to people neatening the area up and being pristine and sanitary that he walked in and saw your garage and went like, this guy didn't do a fucking thing.
That's a comedian.
They made us put the shit that was on the floor out. We had to take all the piles out.
Sure.
But like, it was pretty immediate that I was very nervous, and we sort of stumbly at the beginning, but he was very engaged, and then we just started talking, and he was like right there, and I don't know what anybody thinks they're going to say to the president, or what you really what your ideas are, or who you think you are, or whatever, but. It was disarming, and he felt more real than I assumed he would. And even if we talked about things that he had talked about before, there was a tone to it that was very unique and very present. And it was just the whole fucking thing was mind blowing, And I was pretty comfortable. I wasn't too freaked out after a few minutes. And then at the end of it, he was like, I think that how'd that go for you? And I was like, I think it went pretty well. He was like, yeah, it got pretty intense, pretty quick, kind of like.
Let me ask you a question. When that moment came up, which is the moment everybody's talking about.
Oh yeah.
When that was happening, you guys were just having a discussion, and when he said it, did you at that moment, did it register to you what he had just said, or were you just so caught up that you didn't notice it?
Well, no, I mean, I registered that he said it, but Sherrod just said it, we're the guys.
Oh, I thought that was me thinking. Thank God.
And the voice, get back in Jim's head. You animal.
But that brought the whole podcast to a whole nother level.
But
everyone was already going to talk about it, and they were, and then he says that, and then wow,
it blew him up.
It was the frame, and they ran with it, and they framed it in a weird way. But because we are who we are, like comics, we've had that conversation about that word before.
Yeah, a million times.
And yeah, right. So in my mind, in my head, it's like, yeah, the president just said that. But
you didn't know the magnitude of it, or did you?
Not really. I mean, I was sort of like, I didn't, because he said it in context, and it was part of a broader point.
Right.
But after it was done, there was part of me. I went to my producer. It's like, he just, that happened. He's like, yeah, I know, I know that happened. But the way it was handled in the press was a really good example of what he talked about later. It's just a distraction from the actual. I mean,
discussion.
Yeah, exactly. It was crazy. I mean, I didn't even check in with it. I have watched no television since the fucking interview.
Really?
No. I didn't do, and it's very weird for me too. I mean, I was on Twitter a bit, but I was mostly in touch with my producer. I did limited press around it, but yeah, I mean, I registered it. But to me, it's he was making a point, and certainly, you can say whatever you want. And the funny thing about is that the president of the United States said it in context, and everyone's bleeping it on TV. That's fucking hilarious.
It's ridiculous. That's why Don Lemon was so right. It's like, why can adults say adult shit? We're adults.
And who the fuck are they to censor the president?
Right.
The black president who said nigga.
Exactly.
It's like, stop it.
You think he was surprised that he said that word, or you think?
Yeah, was that just a casual moment? Right.
I almost felt like he came knowing that he might say that word during that discussion.
It's like he's certainly a professional, and and he's an amazing politician, and he's very calculating, and I can't take credit for disarming him that much that I don't either.
I really don't know. I just wondered that point when I was listening to the podcast. I'm like, I wonder if he had an intention of saying that word today.
But there's a couple of things that he said that he had not said as frankly, in relation to the NRA. And then also discussing your racism and saying that word.
Nigger.
Do I have to say it?
Yeah, go ahead and say it, Mark. Live a little.
Just text it to me.
Nigger.
There we go. Finally, Obama's growing on you. That's all we wanted.
It's tough to say.
It is. It's tough to say.
It's tough to say with people around. When I'm in the car, it's amazing. It's as easy as honking the horn.
I just want to be clear. I was given permission by a black man.
I okayed it.
Okay.
He requested it actually. Sherrod requested.
But I don't think that he necessarily prepared to do that. I don't think he said it on his way up. He was like, "This is the day."
You never know. I just don't know.
Maybe it was. I'm glad I was there for the day. If on his way over, he's like, "I'm going to use the word today. I've been waiting my whole presidency to say this once. This is where it's going to happen."
Ann Coulter did say that she got offended by a question. She said the white part of him said it.
Hey, let me ask you, when you're talking to someone like that, all politicians are charismatic. What is the energy exchange like? Me and you talk as just two guys or Sherrod, but when you have a guy who's that,
it's weird.
Is it weird? How does the energy between? I don't even know how to phrase the question.
Well, look, man. When I read the book, when I read Letters from My Father, that I got a sense of who that guy was, and this guy, he's not like Bill Clinton. He's not like George Bush. He's a thoughtful dude. He's not the guy that's sort of like, let's go hang out with Barack. You know, he's not that guy. You know, he's a thoughtful dude. He's kind of a quiet dude. He's very intense. You know, he's a heavy-hearted dude. He's not the life of the party guy. And I sort of felt that going in. Because I think a lot of people's complaints over the years have been like, you know, why can't he be more emotional? You know, in terms of, you know, how he makes the country feel better or his interaction with the country and with people. I don't necessarily think that my feeling was that's really his nature. But what is amazing about him is I felt that's what fucking blew me away, Jim, is that I felt as casual as I do with you right now. That he was able to sort of like focus in. Now, I don't know if that's his thing or that's his gift because, you know, he was charismatic, but like once he got in the garage and, you know, he was just sitting there, it was just like me and you.
I said on Twitter, I said I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but he was so likable during your conversation. And he was so relaxed. That's what I took away from you know, your interview.
Well, here's the deal. Is like,
he was,
you know,
really chill.
A lot of your guys, you know, who've spent a lot of time and energy sitting around hating, you know, this guy and hanging a lot of garbage on him. I mean, the president, it's a tough gig for anybody because the left or the right, whoever their guy is, they're going to hang shit on him. Yeah. They have expectations, and they have these, like the one thing he said is that, like, you know, the progress in a democracy is incremental, and people want drastic change. So maybe they want more of a king. Maybe they want somebody that makes unilateral decisions. What?
I was going to say, to that point, I found that fascinating that he admitted that, you know, you would assume a president wants to move the needle, what did he say, 50 degrees or whatever.
Right.
And he said something like, if I can move it 2 degrees, I know I'm doing my job. I found that really fascinating.
Well, I think what happened in that interview and what the press really missed is that most of us have not been listening to the guy for years.
Agreed.
And it's just like, you know, because, you know, for whether you're disappointed in him because you loved him to begin with or you hate his fucking guts, you know, the president comes on, it's like, oh, snooze. And I don't think anyone's even listened to that fucking guy talk in at least 4 years.
Michelle hasn't.
So I think that this venue, and if there's any brilliance, which there is, to him choosing, you know, the podcast or, you know, me or that arena, was like an audio too. Is that, you know, you listen to you know, when you hear two people talking, you listen.
Yeah.
So like, I just don't like. I think he's probably been that guy all along, but he just didn't have an outlet to talk like that. Yeah. So you all of a sudden, it's a very candid thing, and people are like, "Well, he's a pretty good guy, nice guy, trying hard, tough job."
Did you videotape it or not?
Yeah.
You video? No video.
Why wouldn't you videotape it? Did they tell
They
you
say
not
no?
to?
No, they didn't tell us not to do anything. We could do whatever the hell we wanted.
Oh my God!
We got some good pictures.
Yeah, you did.
I meant to ask you, did the White House ask to see your questions ahead of time?
None
of that. So
nothing.
That's cool.
How many?
And they said we could.
Go ahead.
They said, you know, we had final cut.
Nice. And then the other thing, after he said the word, did anyone talk to you about it after the fact? Like,
well, they wanted they wanted me to engage in the conversation of whether it was, you know, right or wrong or what did I think or whatever. And for me, just as a comedian and as a person who's a thinking person, it's like, what are you getting hung up on, man?
Right.
I mean, first of all, you know, the whole issue about that word, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
It's never been said by the president. That's amazing.
Not publicly.
Not publicly. Yeah.
That's
Well,
pretty
I bet
amazing.
you Nixon fired that one out on a little.
Oh, boy,
fucking-
did he.
I think-
I
I think the difference between saying it and using it is something that, you know, people should really take into consideration.
Totally get it.
He said it to illustrate an idea about using it,
which the press completely ignored, by the way.
But the press, and mostly the right wing press. I mean, I think that the horrible thing is that, like, if most people, I have gotten so many emails and on Twitter, people are like, "Yeah, I didn't like the guy, but that's solid. That was a good conversation." You know, it sort of brought back around the humanness of who he was. But even people, I've gotten tweets and emails are like, "I didn't vote for him, but that was a great conversation."
The personal stuff was amazing. How he admitted he sucks at basketball now.
Yeah,
he's the worst.
What I wish I had more time, because when he started talking about how one of his daughters is starting to drive,
that was hilarious.
I'm thinking to myself,
Service.
how the fuck does the president's daughter get to practice driving.
Yeah.
Like, where do they go to do that?
Anywhere they want.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
just close
Yankee
down
Stadium.
whatever, I guess, right?
$6.95.
But and then him talking about how his kids look at him like, oh, he's just like a nerdy dad
Well,
that
funny
they don't even really respect anymore,
Right.
like any other.
And the stuff
Dad.
the stuff he said about
any other
fear
dad.
at the end, I thought was really, when I was like, how do you deal? And that sort of the thing from evolving out of of fearfulness into fearlessness, just with age and experience,
Yes.
that all of a sudden you realize that you're fearless. About things that that used to really be frightening to you. There were definitely moments there on either side of some of the more issue-based talk. And also, I think his reflection about his experience as the president. I mean, it was all pretty amazing. And like, I really locked into him as a person. And I don't even know that I've felt the gravity of it. Like, there were moments where I just sort of like, holy fuck! I did what just happened? The president was at my house? And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have some cereal.
Wait, how'd you know it was time to end the interview? Did they give you a little rap signal? Or?
I knew I had an hour, and there was definitely moments, and I'll admit to this, where we had gotten into the him discussing his ideas about some of his policy, and there was, because he's a relatively long-winded guy. I mean, he's making a point, but it'll take a while to get there. And there was definitely moments there where I had to fight to sort of like, oh, yeah, okay. Okay, let's get. Can we just? I got more things. There was definitely deliberations where I'm like, I got to interrupt this guy.
I loved when you were helping him out with words.
I'm
What was the one that made me laugh? I was walking, listening
Lily?
to you.
No,
he was trying to come up with a word, and you had it.
I know.
And I was like, oh my god, Mark's helping him out.
I did do that. I do
great.
that to everybody. But
Just to move it along. I
insulting.
get it. But
It's
funny.
insulting, Mark.
I know. I'm
No,
sorry.
it was fine.
You let the president search for the word in his mind.
Did you feel,
let him have the time.
Son of a...
Did you feel like you could have went longer than an hour? Or?
Yeah, because I think that I would have liked I think it was important to get in a broad sense how he felt about his presidency and current situations. But I think that given maybe even 15 more minutes to sort of broaden the conversation we had about comedy, about how he keeps his shit together, some more about his relationship with Michelle, because that question I framed it pretty well, and he sort of dodged it a bit.
Is he still smashing?
What do you mean?
Like he's
Still
having sex?
Oh yeah, I don't know if I would have said that. But why wouldn't he be? I mean,
They married for fucking 20 years. Who's still banging their wife after 20 years?
What, the president? Because he can go like, president's here. You want some of this? Right?
Okay.
Right?
And then push her down to it.
You said that.
When you stand up at the end of the interview, it's like, okay, it's time for him to go, and like he's walking away. Like, what are you thinking as he's like walking away, and then they start like taking the stuff down?
It happened so quickly.
Really?
We left, and he's like, "How was that for you?" I'm like, "I think it was good." He's like, "Yeah, that was pretty good." Like, I felt like there was a moment there. I'm like, "Oh, I let him down." For days I was like, I think I let him down. I think that maybe it got too.
That's just how you
serious.
think anyway, Mark.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
But it was great because he's like, it was, we hung around. He took pictures with Brendan and me. There was some people on the street, my neighbors. A little girl had a book that she wanted signed, so the advanced woman, he signed a book for the little girl.
Nice.
And but there was no one could really get in. It wasn't a public event, so he took pictures. He said okay, and I asked him what he was doing. He said, I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going up to San Francisco. I'm going to talk to Governor Brown about the drought. And I'm like, okay, right.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, and then like he went, and then like within a half an hour, the shit was broken. I mean, they got out, and then the tent guys came later. Ultimately, it was just me and a crew of 5 dudes, taking down the tent. And one guy's like, I was the president. And I'm like, it was good. He's like, I wanted to meet him, man. And I'm like, I'm sorry, dude.
10 guys don't even get to meet him?
Yeah, well, no, because they were just there breaking it down. They were the last guys there.
They didn't have clearance.
They used my bathroom.
So
The president to use my bathroom.
It's over and he's gone. Now
Yeah.
you're sitting in your garage. What's going through your head? Are you just like...
Well, he left his cup, which I thought was amazing.
Did he really?
Picture.
You think he does that on purpose?
Maybe. Why not?
So you have a reason to come back?
No, it was a styrofoam cup with the presidential seal on it.
And he used it.
Yeah.
His DNA's on there.
Sure.
How much you want for the cup?
Really? What are you going to do with his DNA, genius?
I'm going to make another one of them.
You saved the cup,
Could you
though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you dump out the coffee?
It was tea.
Did you dump out the tea?
Black tea, yeah. I
Yeah,
did.
you gotta dump it out, and then you save the cup.
African-American
There you go.
tea.
African-American
Motherfucker.
You got an amazing press off this because people are talking about
Amazing.
it. But everyone has said it was a good interview, and they've said that it was a good conversation. And even people that didn't like that he
Right.
said it. A lot of black people didn't like that he said it. A lot of people thought it was great that he said it. but it's still people are talking about it in the context of what a great interview.
It was
Even people who hate Marc Maron said it was great.
Yeah.
It was well balanced.
What are you talking about?
Your parents.
But you sitting there taking your first breath in a while, and you just, and
it was like I just
and
like
you-
I
sitting there-
cried like right after they left.
Yeah.
I kind of got overwhelmed, and my producer was just him and I. And he's the guy that he's been my business partner with WTF from the beginning. He's the only. It's just him and me, really. And he was standing there, and he's like, because it was really a big moment for him too, because he's he's a very bright guy, and he's it was just it was real respectful, the whole thing. But he's there, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened, And he's like, "You all right, buddy?" I'm like, "I'm just having emotions," Like I couldn't even really identify it.
It would have been really funny if you did that the second Obama sat down. That would have been perfect.
I was worried about it.
Yeah, the emotion of seeing somebody that.
I was worried about it.
Yeah,
well, the event of it, dude. It's
Right.
like I keep thinking, like when I hear like all the hate or whatever, it's like we're fucking Americans, all of us, all us
Sitting
fucking
president,
crazy
yeah.
motherfuckers.
All of us.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like it's the fucking president.
Do you know what? I think that what happens is you're so nervous. It's such a monumental and amazing thing. And I've talked about this with other things, but never one of this.
Yeah.
You go beyond being afraid and
Exactly.
into handling it.
Right.
Like if you were any less afraid, you might have bungled it like a clod.
Right.
But being so totally overwhelmed, it just calms you and you're on autopilot.
Right, you
and you're
go into a hyperspace.
Yes.
I heard you slightly nervous in the beginning, and
Right.
I didn't feel like you were nervous for most of that exchange.
Right, I was sort of nervous, and then like all of a sudden I focus in. It's just me leaning,
you were good.
looking right in his eyes.
That's what I was going to ask you. So
Beautiful brown
he
eyes.
has one of these long answers, right? Are you actually? I mean, you have to listen, but what are you thinking in your head? Like, oh my God, that's the president talking to.
Well, no, I'm
Did you have
thinking
any of
that,
those weird thoughts.
but also I'm thinking like, as a conversationalist, which is what you want to have as a conversationalist.
Yeah.
You want to talk.
Yeah.
You want to have that engagement. So because sometimes it takes him a while to make his point, but he's going to make it. There's part of me that's sort of like, well, this isn't a conversation if I don't, get in here.
Right.
Because, these guys know how to do this. And he certainly knows how to do this. I mean, he can talk just sort of like run a tape. And I'm like, I don't want no tapes. And I think maybe I got one, maybe two, partially, but not really, because he was talking to me. But I get nervous too. I'm like, I gotta interrupt him.
Yeah.
Part of him doing the podcast is he also has an agenda and he wants things to get out there. So
Sure.
you got to let him. It's smart to
Well,
allow some of that in there.
He said that why he did it. He basically said, the agenda was I want more people to get involved in politics. And I knew he was talking to me to some degree because I was a guy that was active, and then I detached completely.
Would it be funny if you said I'm only doing this because I was going to do Opie with Jim, but Roland never got back to us.
He discussed, Democrats and Republicans. I found that one of the most fascinating parts of the interview when he basically said, as soon as you find out, like, this person's a Democrat or a Republican, you don't listen to him as a person anymore.
I agree.
And to hear the president say that was really
Heavy.
That was pretty heavy.
The whole thing was like, I just like
as soon as you could have a conversation, then
It's
you're
disturbing.
and then as soon as you hear, oh, you're Republican, then all of a sudden you shut down and you don't even want to know anything else about that fucking person because maybe you're a Democrat.
It's disturbing.
it's a way for people to communicate their aggravation. And so, like, as soon as you bring party into it, if you're two separate parties, then they're going to dump their shit on you, and you're going to dump their shit on them, and it probably has nothing to do with who you are.
We've said it
Nothing,
for years.
zero.
We've said
Yeah.
it for years. At that point, no one listens to the other side. They just want to get their shit out, and then they wait for the other person to stop talking so you can get more of your shit out.
Your favorite football team have more to say about you than if you're a Democrat or Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Trust me
felt
on
like because I didn't really check in with the TV and I did very minimal press afterwards, like I don't know about the shitstorm. I just get bits and pieces of like Karl Rove is talking about it. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But a lot of the righties, they don't mention me by name. Like the president did a podcast.
These assholes on Fox and Friends did exactly that.
Yeah.
They did mention
Who
him?
was in studio and said they absolutely know who
Well, they
Marc
made
Maron
that-
is.
Of course they do.
purposely got your name
He
wrong.
said Marc Maron.
Marc Maron. No,
one
Greg
guy
Maron
said-
at first, I think.
No,
and then-
Greg Maron or Marc Maron.
Yeah, and we're all sitting here like, you know who Marc Maron is. Get the fuck out of here.
But they
And
look
then-
dumb doing
and then-
that. They
and
look
then
out of touch.
Then they dumbed the whole thing down by, one of these podcasts that has salty language. I'm like, oh,
Salty
really?
language. What are we?
Mark
what
is,
year is it?
They're their own worst enemy. Trust me.
I didn't. I left all the salt out of that one. I didn't
It
even
was
say
disgusting.
fuck.
Now,
Yeah.
doing this for a living,
Yeah.
you always have regrets like, fuck, I wish I asked that question. Did you
One
have any
question,
of those?
one, yeah. But he sort of covered it.
What was it?
Well, I think that
The
like
size of his penis.
yeah,
That's the first
we
thing I
talked
asked.
about that off mic. No, I think that there's a moment in certainly a president's life, or the difference between the Senator Obama and President Obama. There's a moment where you have to make a decision that either thing you decide, whatever you decide, people are going to die. And I would have liked to have asked that directly. Not relating to drones necessarily or war necessarily, but how that changes a person and how do you weigh that decision. And I think that was not a policy question,
Right.
but a human question.
As a guy, yeah.
And I didn't get to ask.
You'll get another chance. He'll be back.
I would
He
have
did great for this one.
I would have been fucking Sammy softball. When he sat down, I would have just said, "Tell us about healthcare."
Yeah.
And I would have said nothing else.
Well, yeah, but you could do that with him, and he'll do it. Like, there was a moment where I'm like, I don't want to be disrespectful, but there is an element of the job that's sort of middle management. So I was trying to talk about, corporate interests, versus, how representing the people and
Sure.
balancing corporate. And I kind of jumbled the question up, and I was nervous. I was like, kind of like dissing him a little. And then he took it and he went a different way with it, but it sort of came back around. That's the element of talking to a politician and the president, is that he's not just going to give you that answer. He's not just going to go like, yeah, it's bullshit, man.
Right.
But it's in there.
It's in there.
When he said he was disgusted with Congress, I mean, he's saying it's bullshit, but I got to deal with it, and if I can get something done, I feel good about
Yeah,
myself.
because that's the key, is they can say they'll give it to you, but politely, and where you have to kind of go, oh, okay, that's what you're saying.
You got to find it.
At the end of the podcast, when he mentioned Louis C.K.
Like,
as
yeah.
a comedian.
Oh, did he? Oh, wow.
Boy, did he. And you said Louis is going to love that one.
Well, Louis was one of the few guys that...
He mentioned Pryor, too. He said that Pryor was
Dick Gregory.
Dick Gregory
Yeah.
and Louis C.K.
And Seinfeld kind of
Seinfeld he
seemed like...
mentioned, right.
But yeah, he liked Louis, and but Louis was one of the few guys that knew that I was doing this, because we've been hanging out, and I talked to him, and when I told him I was talking to President Louis, was like, "Oh, I'm so jealous. I love that guy. He would never talk to me." And then Louis was like, "Ask him about me." I'm like, "I'm not gonna ask him." He was kidding. He was kidding. But when it came down to the day, when I was nervous, I texted Louis. And Louis was like, "You got to ask him about comedy." And so I texted Louis. It's like, "I know what you're saying." And I wrote this piece of paper that I said, and on top it said, "Questions for Obama. 1, Louis C.K. ? 2, Republicans ? 3, Charleston."
That's great.
He laughed.
I was thinking, how do you continue podcasting after you had the president on? I mean, I think you have to shut it down.
I don't know.
I think you gotta shut it down.
For me, because the one interesting question that someone asked me, which was actually the only sort of the only question that one guy asked it, and I wish I could remember who it was. He said, "So now, are you going to become Larry King like he did with the campaign? So you're going to run? Is this going to be?" And I'm like, "No." They asked me, "Would you have Hillary on?" I'm like, "Not unless she's president." So this is not about that. There's no way I'm going to fucking service that. I had a conversation with the President of the United States. I'm not going into politics.
But you could still interview them in a human interview, which is still interesting. Like if
Hard
you
with politicians.
It is hard, but if they know it going in, especially since you got Obama already,
Right.
I like to have human conversations.
We kind of need that, Mark.
Yeah, you could try
Might
it
be
with
your
some,
responsibility
and if
now.
it doesn't work out, and you have one where it's
Yeah.
just all blah blah blah, then you don't do it again.
I've never heard the president sound like that.
Well, that's the
Before.
thing, right?
You got him to loosen up.
I don't want to really necessarily be part of it. So part of the dialogue or part, I don't want to be a shill.
Right.
So what happens is today's podcast is me and Brendan decompressing. There's a bit of me right after he leaves, and then we did a bit of him, Brendan and I decompressing and talking about how it happened.
Awesome.
And then I talk a couple yesterday or day before yesterday, 2 days had passed, and then we sort of closed it up, and then I think next week we got Voss.
No, fucking, that's a dip of all dips.
Follow up to Obama.